On July 20th, 1969, Neil Armstrong spoke these words as the first person to set foot on the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
That mission was Apollo 11 and took 8 days, 3 hours, 18 minutes, and 35 seconds. Fast forward to May 28, 2008, and the Phoenix spacecraft had finally landed on Mars after 9 months and 21 days, which was a one-way journey. When imagining and discussing humanity going beyond Earth and colonizing the cosmos, we often think of Mars. But what about the moon? It's certainly much, much closer. It's also much, much cheaper. Rocket fuel is incredibly expensive, and fuel for an 8-day round trip is obviously going to be much cheaper than 7 months, which is the expected time it will take to get to Mars for a one-way trip. On top of that, a rocket used for a short week-long trip is only going to need to have supplies for the duration of the trip, while shuttles to Mars will have to be much better in order to carry supplies and provide sufficient living quarters, as I don't think most people could handle months upon months strapped to a chair. On top of that, the cost of transporting goods in space is incredibly expensive. If you thought transporting goods to remote communities is expensive, then you have no idea. You know how you can call or text someone or do whatever almost instantly on Earth? Well, on Mars, it would take 3 to 22 minutes for a data signal to be sent, while the moon would be much, much shorter. Almost as convenient as Earth, but not quite. In addition, if any disaster or incident should occur on Mars, it would take anywhere from 7 months to a couple of years for aid, and should I remind you, very expensive aid, to arrive. So our Martian colonists would likely be on their own. An issue on the moon, however, could be resolved within the week. And on top of that, colonizing Mars seems like a huge leap considering we haven't been to the moon in over 45 years. So why is Mars the favorable option? Before we start, it's important to remember that there's no planet like Earth anywhere near us. And any planet or moon is going to sound absolutely horrible compared to our beloved Earth. Let's start with the obvious. Mars is a planet, meaning it's much more likely to have a reasonable mass, gravity, daylight cycle, and atmosphere, which, surprise, surprise, it does. If you weighed 91 kilograms on Earth, you would weigh 34 kilograms on Mars, while only 15 on the moon. The weight difference on Mars certainly isn't ideal, but it's still functional, unlike that of the moon. If your weight becomes too low, it can have devastating effects on your muscle mass and bone strength, among other things. Mars has an atmosphere. It's nowhere near ideal, but at least it's something. Mars is still bombarded with harmful rays and particles, but unlike the moon, a good number of them never reach the surface. Another benefit from the atmosphere is the somewhat of an equilibrium between day and night temperatures. To be fair, the equilibrium of day and night temperatures is far from good, but it sounds like paradise compared to those of the moon. On the moon, there's a day-night temperature difference of over 300 degrees. On top of that, for convenience and human productivity, a Martian day is just over 24 Earth hours. A colony contains humans. With humans comes consciences. With consciences come opinions. With opinions come disagreements. With disagreements come violence. We only have all of human history to prove that. The moon could theoretically be militarized and cause many problems. If Mars were militarized, then Earth would have no problem, unless we build a Death Star or something. Anyways, with advanced technology, weapons on the moon could pose a serious threat. Fortunately, there's the Outer Space Treaty, which states that no celestial body shall be militarized. Bye-bye, Death Star. This was because of actual concern of weapons on the moon during the Cold War. The treaty will likely be under review in the near future due to the commercialization of space and increased space travel, which could cause some alterations to the no weapons section, although that won't be in the next review. Likely later on once we have people permanently living on other celestial bodies. Anyways, colonizing Mars is a great idea. It's extraordinary to think of humanity as an interplanetary species. But before we do that, there's a possibility we might establish a lunar base that would provide the world's governments and space agencies with an idea of what to expect on Mars at a much cheaper cost. Going to Mars is an exciting thing. Hopefully, it's only the beginning to a legacy of exploring the cosmos. Thanks for watching.